Hey, that's my talk. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for choosing my talk over Damo's. There is another GitHub talk happening right now, and I said to people like, look, you've listened to Damo for the last 4 days, come and see my talk. So thank you so much for coming. So we're going to talk about GitHub like a boss, and some people have said to me, what does that even mean? And I'm going to show you. But first of all, my name is Michelle, or Mish, everyone calls me Mish. I am on the GitHub developer relations team with Damo as well. He's my colleague, so yes, he's done a great job the last couple of days. And you haven't seen me around the last few days because I literally just flew in from Copenhagen last night. So thank you all for being here and coming to my talk, because I feel really bad for leaving my team in Copenhagen to come here to Melbourne to speak. That's all my social media, so you can follow me on pretty much every social media platform known to man. If you're tweeting throughout this, feel free to. If you're Instagramming, take your platform of choice, feel free to tag me and I will definitely reshare it for you. So today, some of the things we're going to go through is we're going to talk just a little bit about GitHub. I'm assuming most people know what GitHub is, but just to recap in case you don't know. We're going to talk about personalization, because one of the coolest things about using all these platforms on digital media is not just using the platform, but being able to customize and personalize it for yourself. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the customization side of it. So not just showing off the things that you want to show off by personalizing it, but also customizing the platform to work better for you in the way you want to use it. We're going to talk about celebrating your wins and your achievements, and we've got some cool new features that we're going to talk about. So this whole GitHub like a boss thing, it is tips and tricks, but it's also some of the latest things that we've shipped. We literally just shipped some new stuff like 2 days ago, and that's in the talk. So you're going to hear about first. Talk a little bit about collaboration. One of the things I love talking about is collaborating. GitHub is a platform where we can all code together and come together, but also it is about collaborating, working with our teammates, our fellow developers, but also our fellow non-developers as well. So we'll talk a bit about that. We'll talk about the way you work as well, so different ways that we work now and how GitHub can help you along that journey. And then talk about, at the end, if you want to know more, learn more, if you've got colleagues as well who maybe don't really know too much about GitHub and you've told them all about this cool GitHub like a boss talk that you went to, we'll talk about where you can go to learn more about GitHub and upskill yourself. So GitHub is a platform where we invite the world to come together and build software. We invite them to come together and build and collaborate on that software together. So yes, it is a platform where you can host your code, but it's not just that, as you'll find out today. This is our latest numbers. So if you go to github.com when you're not signed in, this is what you'll see on the website. You can see we now have 83 million developers using our platform, which is pretty incredible. Over 400 million organizations and now over 200 million repositories using GitHub. I really like this map. If you haven't ever been onto github.com when you're not signed in, this is a live interactive map of pull requests that are being created and merged in real time. So if you hover over like one of those lines, it'll tell you where the pull request was open and then where it was closed. So you can see like here, it's opened in one part of the world and closed in another. That's just another like really cool tidbit for you. But if you are on there, it's just really fun to go check out. All right, first things first is personalization. I love Lego. I'm actually hoping to win some of the Lego that is here today, but I try and fit Lego in anywhere in my talks. Now with Lego, you can obviously get the instructions and buy the box and put it together the exact way that the instructions tell you to. Or you can pull together all those bits and pieces and build your own thing. That's kind of like what GitHub is with personalization. We really want you to build your own thing on GitHub. So one of the first things that people will do when they go onto GitHub and create an account, and even if you create, say, a social media account, who has Facebook here? Yeah? Facebook, Instagram? So we've got Instagram, TikTok, it's becoming a bit of a thing now. Even LinkedIn, right? One of the first things you do when you go and create an account is you upload your photo, write some things about you, maybe connect to some friends. You can do this very much a similar thing on GitHub. So one of the first things that people do when they go and create their account is they upload a photo, write some stuff about them, And they built this new thing called a profile README. This is like a blank slate where you can literally write anything you want in here. You can put videos, you can put GIFs, you can put links to your website, you can put like, I've got some up there like, some icons of all my like platforms that I game on. But this is a really cool place where you can just kind of showcase yourself. You can see there I've got all my social media links and stuff. So it's not like, just kind of like building a website. Blank slate where you can put whatever you want on there to showcase people to you, showcase yourself to the world. So when people go to my profile, that's what they see. Some other cool things you can do is you can add these cool things that once we released the profile README, people started building these little like widgety type things where you can add cool things in like your stats, or this like GitHub snake thing, which you'll see come up here where it like puts all my contributions in, then a snake comes along and eats it. So you can kind of do lots of different things. That's actually running on a GitHub action. So there's lots of cool things you can put into your profile and really customize that yourself. But how do we actually customize the platform to work better for us? There's lots of different things we have that we can use to customize it. So one of the first things I try and get people to go to is notifications. How often do you open up a social media profile for the first time and you're like, oh great, I got like a 50 million notifications now from Facebook. GitHub is very similar in that sense. If you don't customize your notifications, you're going to find out you're going to get notified by every single thing that you're assigned to participating in, mentioned, team mentioned, requested reviews. You can see there I've got 1,518 unread notifications. Now, if you haven't been to your notifications in a while, there's this little bell up from the top, which you'll see on your profile. There'll be this new flag there to say, hey, would you like to just click read all notifications so you don't have to get notified about it anymore? But then would you like to customize those notifications? So you can go in and work out, okay, what do I want shown by email? What do I maybe want a text message about? What do I really care about being notified about GitHub? If there's a repository that I'm watching, I probably don't want every single commit to that repository being sent to me. So customizing your notifications is a really good way to filter out all that noise and understand and get the information that you really care about. The next one, which we've launched kind of recently, is this new feed feature. So if you go to github.com when you're signed in, you'll now see this new feed. And it's kind of like a news feed like you'd see on Facebook or like, your Twitter feed. This is like a kind of curated list of all the things that you're watching on GitHub, developers and people that you're following, repositories that you're following as well. Now, there's two ways we can view this new feed. The first one, which you saw on there, is the things and the people who you are following. So what you already are connected to. So for example, if you have a GitHub profile, Yeah, so I can go onto your account and click follow. And so when you do something new, say you merge a new pull request in a new open source repository, it'll come up here. So like this person started following me, this person created a repository. That's because I'm following those people. There's this new one now called For You, which is, as you can see there, it's in beta. This is a curated list that based on the people and projects you're already following, it'll give you suggestions of new developers to follow, new projects to look at. You can see up there, top there, it's got the join the GitHub global campus. So it's got some kind of like some notifications and that there too. So this is still a new feature. So we're still working on this, but it's a good way for you to kind of get like your overview of GitHub. So Monday morning, come in, let's see what's happened on GitHub over the weekend. What are my friends doing? What are my followers doing? So that's really cool. The next one that's really cool and fun is this idea of celebrating the things that we've been doing on GitHub. So as you know, if you're a developer and you've got a GitHub profile, how many times have you used that profile or sent that link for a job interview? Yeah, I see people on the route, yeah. So it's kind of this idea of like your GitHub profile is almost your CV as a developer. But what we wanted to do is give you more ways for you to celebrate those wins that you're having on GitHub and more ways to show off that cool contribution graph that you've seen so many places around. So the first one, which we literally launched last week, is achievements. So now, well, new achievements. Some achievements have already been around. We want some new ones. So the old ones that you'll see there is like the Arctic Code Vault. So if you contributed before 2020, I think it was, your code will be stored in the Arctic. There's a couple other achievements such as sponsors and the Mars 2020 that have been around. Now we've launched more achievements to celebrate more of the things that you're doing on GitHub. And we launched with these 3 new achievements that you saw at the top there. So these are like kind of like badges or stickers for you to celebrate some of the things that you're doing. For example, one of the ones there, which will pop up in a second, is our pool shark, I think, or shark something shark. And basically it's celebrating the number of pull requests that you've done on GitHub to open source repositories. And that one is one of those accumulative achievements. So you'll get the achievement to start off with for X number of pull requests. Then you can get a bronze badge and a silver badge and a gold badge and a platinum badge. Now, if you don't want to show your achievements on your profile, because not everyone wants to show off all the things they're doing, you can go to your settings, you can scroll down on your public feed, and you can just turn it off. So if you don't want to show that off, not everyone wants to show them off, you can turn those off as well. But there's more new ones coming. So these 3 ones just shipped last week, and there'll be more coming over the next few weeks. The next one we've got is the skyline. Who's heard of the skyline, the GitHub skyline? Yeah, there's a couple of nods here. So this is a new thing we launched at the end of 2020. And this is a way for you to show off your contribution graph in 3D. So that's mine there from last year. So you go to the website, skyline.github.com. I'm going to share all these links with you at the end as well. And you can type in your username or a username of anyone you like, and it'll show like a 3D image of your contribution graph. Now you can go in and add annotations to it. So this one is from October, so that was my Hacktoberfest contribution. So you can see now my annotation's been added. Now one of the cool things about this is you can click obviously to share it on Twitter. So you can share that out to all your followers and your friends. And if you like to, you can obviously switch off the UI if you want to get a cool GIF of it or some screenshots. And you can even download the STL file as well. So if you have a 3D printer, anyone with a 3D printer in the room? Yeah, or people you know, yeah, you can print this out. I put it in like the highest resolution. It took like 7 hours to print. But if you have less contributions, probably take longer. If you have more contributions, it might take a bit longer. And you can even order it directly off the website too, and you can get one 3D printed in steel. Now, if you open that website on your mobile phone or another device that is VR enabled, you can view this whole thing in 3D. And it's got some cool funky music. And the week that we launched this, I had that music stuck in my head for like 2 weeks. So you can switch off the music in the bottom corner there if you don't want the music going. But that's a really fun way to show off your achievements rather than just sending someone your GitHub profile. Next time, send them your skyline and be like, yo, look how cool my achievements look. All right, something we launched a couple of years ago now, if this wants to work, is the new dark mode. So obviously people want to save their eyesight and looking at a white screen like, whoa. So we've got dark mode now, and that's on all the different platforms we've got. So you've got the mobile app, which we'll talk about in a minute. You can put that in dark mode, and you can put GitHub Desktop in dark mode as well. And what we've launched now is a whole bunch of new modes. So if you go to your profile and you scroll down and go to settings, you can go and have a look at the appearance tab. And this is where you can change into like these 9 different profiles now, these different color modes. Obviously people used to use Chrome extensions and Brave extensions back in the day. You can even change like your preferred like emoji skin tones and things like that. So another little way you can customize GitHub for you. The next one's collaboration. As I said, I love collaboration because when we collaborate with one another, we can take all the best pieces and our strengths, and we can downplay our weaknesses, and we work together with our strengths to build something great. One of the reasons we collaborate is so we can build better products and services for our customers. So there's a bunch of cool things on GitHub where we can collaborate more together. Now, we're not going to talk about the more standard or generic ones, because obviously if you're a developer, you know things, you know about code review and pull requests and merge conflicts and that usually. So here's some of the ways you can collaborate better together with other developers, but also non-developers. And more and more, we're starting to see companies come together and bring their teams together across different disciplines to work better together. So this is some ways you can work with your non-developers as well. Now, obviously, as I said, teamwork, together we achieve more. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing this. We're not just collaborating together because, and it's not something we should shy away from. Who ever did a group project at university? Yeah. So back when I did university, group projects are like, I'm not choosing that subject because it has a group project in it. Nowadays, we're trying to get away from that thinking of, only one person does all the work and then everyone else just turns it in and gets the same marks. Moving more towards this, okay, let's actually collaborate better together. So here's some of the features we have for collaborating. As I mentioned, we obviously have code review. You're laughing. You've had a group assignment, haven't you? Yeah, where everyone's done the same work and they've all got the same marks. We have teams. So now you can manage different teams on GitHub. So I like this feature because, for example, a lot of people say to me like, oh yeah, I've heard of GitHub. I'm like, you should have heard of GitHub. Your entire company is built on GitHub. How do you not know about GitHub? And they're like, that's something the developers do. We don't care about them. They're in this room over there and we split pizza over there and the code comes out. Again, we're trying to get away from that whole idea. So Teams is a really good way to manage that. So I can add people to my team or my organization on GitHub and I can give them various access. Say, for example, if we've got developers on this side of the room, we've got all non-developers on this side of the room, you can all have access to write code and merge code and do all those things. On the other hand, you might all have access just to look at the code. Because again, we don't want to break the code, but we want everyone to understand what's happening. So you can manage that access there. The next one we have is projects. And we'll talk through this a little bit more. We've now got these really cool way to manage the way you do projects on GitHub. We can add all different issues. And it's, again, a really good way for non-developers to understand the life cycle of your product. Then we have labels where you can go into an issue, all these fancy color. I like to color code everything. So labels is a good way for me to color code stuff. And it's also a really good way for me to just at a glance see where everything is at. Issues, which you probably know about, issues are those, back in the day, an issue was there is an issue with my code. Someone please submit an issue. Or there's a feature request. Please submit an issue. Issues have become a bit more of everything now. So I'm going to submit an issue because I want to say thank you to you. And I have no idea where else to do it, so I'm just going to submit an issue. So we do have issues, but we also have another cool thing called forms now, which is a way for you to collect information from your community. So for example, have you ever received an issue about a bug and it's like actually not a lot of information in there? It's kind of like, there's a bug, it doesn't work, and you're like, cool, tell me why it doesn't work. So now you can build a form that you have to fill out the parts of the form, kind of like a Google form or a HTML type form. You must fill out the parts of the form that you want to collect the information for before submitting that form. We can go through that a little bit more too. Documentation, obviously that thing I showed you at the start, like with the profile readme, that's a kind of documentation. But you can have documentation for every single thing on GitHub. And this is really good because it means that by having your documentation live alongside your code, it now receives the same love and attention. So we can have documentation for things like what our company is about with an organization profile readme. We can have documentation about what this project is about. Then we can obviously have more technical documentation about how to actually install the thing that you're trying to show off. And we have a cool thing called discussions, which allows you to have forum-style conversations within your repository or within your project. And we'll go through this again a little bit more because it's a really good way for you to connect with your community and connect within your team as well. All right, so this is the issues, which you've probably seen. So it's just a generic kind of like form type thing as a normal issue. You type in up here whatever you want the name of the issue to be. You fill it out with whatever you feel like filling it out with. Along the side here, you've got different labels you can add for color coding. We can assign people to it. So again, if I've set up my notifications to say, hey, send me a notification if I get assigned to an issue, that's what that pops up here. And then we've also got a milestone feature, which you can add a milestone to your project. And then once you finish filling out the issue, you can just submit that issue. Another cool thing we have with issues now is if you write a list or like a checkbox, once you submit the issue, you can now create a new issue from that individual item from the checkbox, which is really cool. So you can see there I've tagged a couple of people and they'll get notified if they've set up their notifications. This is the issue forms. So I mentioned, sorry about the bright white screen for this one. But yeah, you can see if you've created a form and it's created in a YAML file, so once you've created it, it will come up as like a default issue template for someone to select. So you can see here, if they, obviously if it's got the star, they obviously have to fill that out before they can submit the issue. And then it'll pop up green here. So it's a really good way to collect the information that you really need. This is really good for open source projects, obviously, but it's still good if you're using GitHub within your organization to encourage your colleagues to give you all the information up front so you don't have to go chase them or comment the issue like, hey, send me more information or send me a screenshot. Now with issues, you can also add in images and videos into your issues now too, which is really good. The next one here is the project board. So this is our new project management type stuff, which is bundled under a big umbrella called the new GitHub issues. Now you can see here, like it works like a Kanban board. You can see I've got a couple of different columns here. Now you can obviously change these columns to whatever you like. If you're managing more of a project style, you might want to have, backlog, to do, in progress, done, things like that. You can see I'm creating an issue directly from the project board. So I can type out a note and then say convert to issue. I can add all the bits and pieces in there. And then once I'm finished, I can click convert to issue there, which is really handy. The next one we have is our discussions. So who has heard of GitHub discussions or used it? Anyone yet? A couple people in the back there? Cool. Yeah, so GitHub discussions is a way for you and your community to have these forum-style conversations. They're at the org level, so if you have an org, you can have a discussion for all the different things that you cover. So you don't have to have a separate discussion for each project you're working on. But for example, you might want to have a separate discussion topic for each thing that you're talking about. At GitHub, we use discussions to gather feedback. So for example, there's a different thread for if you want to send us discussions feedback within discussions, bit of inception there. Or if you want to send us feedback on the mobile app or feedback on our achievements, there's threads for all that. This one here, yeah, this one's our feedback. So you can see we've got all the different categories down the side there. Anyone can start a new discussion and it just has to be like posted under one of the categories. And you can see you can also pin your favorite discussions up the top here. So this one, it's like the welcome to the community. What's it all about? Why are you here? What is this discussion for? All right, so using GitHub. Now, the way that we all work over the last couple of years has changed quite a bit, right? You've gone from traveling around the world and being everywhere to kind of being stuck at home. And so we want GitHub to kind of be a place where you can use GitHub however you feel like using GitHub. So lots of different ways you can use it. So one of the ways I love using it, and I'm going to call this one out first because it often gets forgotten, but GitHub for mobile. I love GitHub for mobile because I can have everything that I need on my phone. So my colleagues work in America, most of my team's in America. So in the morning when I'm having breakfast, I open up my phone and I can go to my issues and click what have I been mentioned or assigned to overnight while I'm having breakfast. It's really handy because I can just have a look at my inbox, so all those notifications. I wonder if I've got on the next screen here. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, so you can see obviously I can open up an issue from the mobile phone. I can even open up a pull request from my phone. I can merge a pull request from my phone. I can do some code review. Now, obviously, this isn't always going to be the best option. You probably don't want to, merge or review a pretty big chunk of code on your phone, but it's really good for doing quick things. It's really good if my team has mentioned me in an issue and I'm standing here at NDC finishing my talk and going, oh, I should reply to that really quickly. I can just leave a quick comment rather than having to go to the computer, open up my phone, github.com, yep, sign in, make sure I'm here, find the right issue. I can do it all from my phone, which is really nice. And the cool thing about the phone too is if you saw in the image beforehand, I can use it on pretty much any mobile device. So whether it's a phone like a Samsung or an Android, or an iPhone. I can use an iPad. I can put it on a tablet. I've even seen people try and do it in some other really cool features. So, yeah. So this is one of our, you can see here issues. So this is our new one where we've got all these new filtering things as well. So again, a lot of noise comes in from phones. So we can go here and we can choose like, okay, I want to filter the issues. I only want to see the open ones, or I only want to see the closed ones. Or I only want to see like labels, show me all the things that are in progress, or show me all the things that are done. That way I can really quickly respond to messages while I'm on the go. Oh, sorry, my battery is running low. For some reason, this didn't plug in. Well, we might get the tech just to come and make sure this is all plugged in because it's dead now. Can you come and get some power going for me? Well, I'll just give a talk while we're going here. So who has a GitHub profile here? Yep, nearly everyone. Who doesn't have a GitHub profile? No one? Who has colleagues that don't have GitHub profiles yet? Yeah? Yeah, cool. So a lot of these ways are like really fun ways to get people involved in it, even especially as non-developers. A lot of people say to me, oh, why would I want a GitHub profile as a non-developer? It's like, yeah, but you can go through, you can see all these cool things that people are doing. And what people don't realize about GitHub too is it's not just a place for code. And more we're seeing that GitHub is becoming a place to store other things other than code. So a couple of years ago, I built a template for using like a Stream Deck. Does everyone know what a Stream Deck is? So if you're like a Twitch streamer, it's almost like a keyboard type thing with like buttons on it, and you can map these buttons to different things. So I built an image template where people could go on and switch out their templates, and I just uploaded that to GitHub. It's a PSD file, and then I just added in some documentation. We all good with that? Cool. We've got power back. Sweet, awesome. So yeah, it's a really good way to do it. And leading into the whole non-developers on GitHub, one of the things I love using as a non-developer, well, coming from a non-developer background, is this thing called GitHub Desktop. And the reason I really love this is because you can open up GitHub Desktop, and it's kind of like a interesting or cool UI where it sort of gives you lots of prompts of what to do. So when you first go into it for the first time, obviously you'll log in, then it'll say, okay, what do you want to do here for the first time? Do you want to, create a tutorial repository? Do you want to clone a repo from the internet? It kind of gives you lots of prompts of what to do. Now, if you're using it and say, for example, you've added in a repository, you've made some changes to that repository, you get these nice little buttons that come up like, hey, your code is now one pull commit away from the origin. Would you like to pull in the origin? If you've added some other things, it might say, hey, would you like to push to your main branch? So it's a really good visual way to understand and use GitHub. So it's a really good way to use GitHub as a non-developer. And then obviously, if you are using it as a more seasoned developer, yes, you have all the cool things. It's a bit hard to see the colors there, but some lines are red and some lines are green. So it's giving you the code changes and the differences within the file straight from GitHub Desktop as well. The next one, which is sort of newer, well, at least we're promoting a lot more, and this is actually open source too, so you can even go and contribute to this one. But it's the GitHub CLI. So you can use the GitHub CLI to do a whole bunch of different things, whether it's merging a pull request, seeing the status of your PR, you can open up an issue from here, you can see issues from here, you can commit code from here as well. So here's some of the examples that you can use, so you can get like a list of all the different issues. You can see the status of all your PRs within the repository that you're looking at. You can check out a particular PR, and then if it looks good, you can go and merge that PR straight from the CLI, which is really cool. Now, I do promise I'll give you some ways to learn about GitHub, because a lot of people say to me, oh, I've either got colleagues that want to learn about GitHub and get more into it, or hey, I've kind of just started myself and I know how to open up some issues and comment on some issues, but I want to know some more things. I want to know how to build GitHub pages. I want to know how to use GitHub Actions. Where can I go to learn about these things? So this is a new thing that we launched just last week or the week before. It's called GitHub Skills. So in the olden days, it wasn't actually that old ago, but we had a thing called GitHub Learning Lab. The Learning Lab is now GitHub Skills, and it's a way for you to learn GitHub, and it all runs on GitHub using our GitHub bot to help you learn. So when you go onto the site, it's skills.github.com, but I'll share all the links with you in a little bit. You'll go on there and it'll say, what do you want to learn about? So say, for example, if it's your first day on GitHub, there's one there called Introduction to GitHub. And you can go there and you can click on it, and it'll clone a repository to your username, to your repo, and then you can go on and it'll start telling you what to do. It'll say, all right, for the first thing, we want you to just comment on this issue. And you comment on it, and then the bot will detect what you're doing and give you feedback on what to do next. So it's a really good way to learn GitHub, and it's everything on there from the very, very, I've never even looked at GitHub before, I don't even know what an issue is. It'll have all that, explainers, there's videos and things like that, right through to using GitHub Actions and GitHub Pages and things like that. It's still relatively new, so not all our courses have migrated over yet, but there's more and more coming. This is also semi-open source as well. So for example, if you create a cool tutorial or a cool a learning lab or a cool skills session on using GitHub, you can then go and upload that and share that with your colleagues as well. The next one we have is, this has just been launched, so everyone loves this, and people don't immediately think about it for learning, but it is a really cool feature to learn with, and that's GitHub Copilot. So Copilot is our AI pair programming tool to help you write code, build code, learn code, and understand code as well. So Copilot is a feature that it's been trained on a lot of open source repositories, and it will give you suggestions of what to do. Again, it's a bit hard to see on this screen because of the lighting, but this person's written constant fetch, so they've written the first line, and then Copilot has suggested the whole rest of the code for them. So you can see here Copilot suggested all that for them. And the reason this is really cool is because if you're learning, you're often not sure exactly what to do. So Copilot can help you do that. And it works for all different types of languages, at least the most popular ones. And it works for non-languages as well. So it works for plain text. I saw someone build a haiku the other day using Copilot. We had some fun ones going around GitHub doing our reviews. And someone put a comment in to say, my review is, and then Copilot suggested the rest of it, and it got some very interesting results. So you can see here, all you need to do is, if you've got VS Codes, it's all a VS Code extension, you can go in, click your extensions, type in Copilot, click install. Once it's installed, it'll have a pop-up saying you need to sign into GitHub. So you go there, you click allow, you go sign into GitHub, and then once it's all done, you'll see this little Copilot button down the bottom here. So that means Copilot's done. So what I can do is I can start a new file. I'm just going to use Python because I like Python. So I'm going to write the classic good old fizzbuzz function. Why not? Because that's what everyone does when they first learn Python. So I'm going to just click define, and it's already figured out the rest of it for me. So if I like that, I can just click tab, and the whole function's written for me in like 2 seconds. So yeah, I know people are sitting there going, oh, this is going to be interesting for coding interviews coming up. And then if you want to do a bit more learning stuff, we can install this new thing called GitHub Copilot Labs, which just got released. So if you've got Copilot access, you should have Labs access. So once you install Labs, you'll see this little Copilot on the side. So you can highlight the code and tell me, okay, I want to know what the code actually does, and click Ask Copilot, and it'll explain to you what this code is actually doing. And it says, if the number is not divisible by 5, you can also say, okay, show me an example of what the code actually is. So if there's an input function, give me an actual example of what would actually print out. So we can do this for lots of different code. We can do it for small chunks, large chunks. We can also use this other thing called translate. So say, for example, I'm starting to learn Ruby, and I want to translate it into Ruby. I can click Ask Copilot, and it'll translate the code into Ruby for me. Some people pointed out in a couple of my other ones, it's not always exactly right. You can give that feedback as well, saying, oh, look, this isn't exactly right, this one. Redo this one. But again, it's still learning, so put in that feedback. So that is GitHub Copilot. Copilot just launched, by the way, so everyone can go and buy it now or use it. So I think you can sign up and get 60 days for free. So it's a really, really good tool to use. All right, how are we going for time? Pretty good, I think. All right, so if you want to keep learning on GitHub, some people say, oh, this is really cool, these like tutorials and stuff you have, and Copilot's great, but where else can I learn? One way you can learn is by following us on social media. So we put lots of tips and tricks on our Twitter. We have YouTube Shorts now where we give top tips on everything from how to open a pull request to how to merge a PR on your phone to order a pizza using GitHub Actions. We now have TikTok as well, so you can see some cool TikToks. I think they're calling it Tech Talk. So like tech companies are using TikTok to show off some of their features. Another cool one to look at too, for examples, if you're a tech company looking to get into TikTok, sure, go check us out. We've been doing it for a little while now, but the VS Code team does really cool TikToks and lots of really good information and tips and tricks that you wouldn't probably know about. You can obviously go have a look at our YouTube, so go like and subscribe our YouTube. So we've got everything from longer form content here with like our checkout videos. There's like interviews with PMs. So like, hey, Copilot is coming out. What can you tell us about Copilot? And they'll go into like a deep dive on that particular feature. We've got little short ones that show you like a top tip or some latest features. And now we have the YouTube Shorts, which is like that, portrait style video where you can watch on your phone now. Lots of like really top little tips you can have a look at. Now I promised you I'd share with you all the resources. So if you scan that QR code, that'll take you to a gist with all the URLs of every single feature I've talked about in the presentation, as well as some dev posts that I've written for tutorials on various GitHub features. All my social media links are there, and all the social media. Oh, it's giving you a 404. Oh no. I'll fix that in a second. I wonder why it's giving you that. Okay, I will try and fix that in a moment. But that leads me into questions. So I've left plenty of time for questions. So I've kind of given you an overview of all the fun stuff, so we can go straight into questions. And I might get you to like put up a holding slide while I figure out this gist, but also answer questions from people on anything. Yep.
Have you seen many businesses use the kind of project management side of things for non-development related
Yes.
pieces?
Yes. So a lot of companies will use it. So if you have a look at even GitHub Public Roadmap, the public roadmap is in a project board. So you can see everything that's happening, everything that's shipping. I use it to plan my holidays and my shopping, which I got the idea from someone else who also does the same thing. So people use it for all like hundreds of different things, whether it's, I saw one company use it to plan their like next company offsite. So it's not just developer specific. Even like GitHub Issues isn't developer specific anymore. Like for example, at GitHub, everyone uses GitHub for doing everything. So if you want some swag to bring to a conference, you've got to open an issue. If you want, legal to sign off on sponsoring something, you've got to open an issue. So it can be used for everything, not just coding. So that's what I love about it, is you can kind of just do whatever you want and use it for whatever you want. Next question. I'm updating this gist while we're at it. Another question? You've got to have lots of questions, but yep, right at the back. Yep, Copilot. So Copilot just launched. As I mentioned, it's 60 days free. If you're a student, you also get it for free. If you're an open source maintainer, you also get it for free. If you're in neither of those categories, Copilot is $10 a month to sign up or to have it per month. And if you want to get an entire year, it's $100. So you essentially, if you're signing up for a year, you get 2 months free of Copilot. But yeah, it's free to sign up and to trial, so I highly encourage everyone to go and trial it, and then you can use it across everything. Yeah, question at the back?
The project manager projects, is it available for enterprise or?
Where's my GitHub Enterprise people when I need them? I believe so. I know some of the features that a couple of the ones that we've recently shipped. Everything, if it's not available in GitHub Enterprise, everything will be available in GitHub Enterprise. The Enterprise roadmap is slightly delayed because they try to make sure everything is 100% perfect before it ships into enterprise. So the projects is, I think it's still in beta at the moment, so it's probably not in enterprise until it comes out of beta. But you can probably double check on the GitHub Enterprise website. Yeah. But every feature, whether it's Copilot, Codespaces, the goal is obviously to have it into GitHub Enterprise. As I said, the roadmap's just a little bit longer. Yep. Anyone else? Yeah, so Copilot at the moment is only available to individuals. So if you want it, you need to sign up to it individually. I think the goal is to eventually enable it for enterprises. So you should be able to eventually get it. There's just, as I said, the roadmap's a little bit longer. It's only just launched out a technical preview as well. So yeah, I assume it would be coming soon. But for now, it's just individuals can use it, and you can use it for all. Obviously, it's on your VS Code, so whatever kind of code you're using, you can use Copilot for that. Anyone else? I think I've nearly got this gist fixed up. I think the QR code didn't like it. I was in a London terminal while I was finishing off that gist, so I just don't think it downloaded properly. Anyone else? Questions about anything to do with GitHub, even if I didn't talk about it today? Yep, and then I'll go to the back.
Oh,
No, go first.
Okay. What can you speak to automations around issues,
Yep.
and how if anything is decided you don't know much about?
Yeah, cool. Can you switch back my screen too? That would be great. Okay, so okay, can I flick to a different screen? Can we get PowerPoint off? We'll shut that one down. Now, hopefully, I can flick this up onto the screen. So I'm a mouse user. I like using a mouse, and I don't like not having a mouse. I think there we go. That's that gist there as well, which you cannot see the link to. There you go. That's it there. So take a shot of that. I can try and scroll in a bit more. It's not going to show it, but that is my gist. I will post it somewhere. I'll post it on Twitter, actually. But yeah, so the project automation stuff, or the issues automation. So if I jump on here and we go GitHub boss, we'll go to my repository. So I've got a repository for using all this stuff, which is open. So if anyone wants to go and use it, you can. Alrighty, cool. Just making sure it's showing up. So here's all the issue stuff. So for example, I've created an issue here. An issue form. So if we go on here, we can have a look at, I think this one. Is this one of my issues? Yeah, so you can see this is like a form here. You can see this label was automatically added because when I built the YAML file for this, I said, if I open up this one, add this label to it. You can also add other things. So for example, we've got one, I can't show you because it's internal only, but we've got one that says, once I fill out this form, build this whole issue, tag the relevant people in it, add all these labels in it, and add it to this part of the project board that I've got somewhere else. So you can add that as well. And if you want to have a look at that, GitHub issue forms, and I can put this link in the gist when I update it as well. This is all the syntax for doing the GitHub issue forms. So you can see there we've got all of it written on everything you want to add in, whether it's the labels you want to add or the people you want to add into. So I'll add that into the gist and post it on Twitter. I got a question out the back.
Oh, I was just going to say, Copilot always changes my code. What can I do to stop being judged?
Copilot's a fun one. So yeah, so basically it'll learn as well as you're going. So let me pull up a couple of the things here. Okay, so this is GitHub Copilot running. So one of the things it does is it learns the way you're doing things. So I was pair programming on a live coding session, and the lady was like, oh yeah, write in this, and okay, the whole function's already there. And then she was like, okay, a couple of things aren't 100% right, so let's change a few of those things. So say, for example, if I didn't like this and I wanted something else, I'd have to go change it in everywhere there. But say I didn't want that. If I now go and click, let's see if it's going to figure it out. See, it's giving me list numbers there. So it's already detected that I've changed it up top. So Copilot is this fluent learning, always changing type of tool. So you can't always say exactly that I want you to not be so aggressive or show me certain things. Another thing you can do here is you can type in comments. So it'll suggest comments as well for you. So say if I want, so it's giving me a function here. The other thing I can do with this is I could write that and then say, provide me the function that I've just written. So let's see if that's going to work. And then, so it's giving me that. So based on the comment that I'm providing it with, it's writing me a function. Now, this isn't always going to be 100% correct. Now, say if I was live coding in a demo with someone and I was like, I want to show off how good my skills are and I don't want Copilot to suggest me anything, I can just go and switch off Copilot by clicking that little button down the bottom here. So deactivate Copilot. So I can disable it globally or I can disable it just for Python files. So say if I'm just using particular Python files, I can get rid of that. So yeah, and I think there are some things that we might be bringing out that you can kind of change Copilot's aggressiveness. So you can say, don't show me everything. I'm still wanting to learn a bit. So you can do that as well. Other questions? Again, about Copilot, about anything else GitHub related? I left plenty of time for questions for this reason, but we've got 10 minutes if we need to. Otherwise, you can all have an early mark. But I like answering GitHub questions. It doesn't have to be GitHub related too. Someone asked me about Quidditch once in a talk. Yep.
I was interested in the code spaces.
Yeah, okay.
For like hackathons and that, the cost might be a bit prohibitive.
Yeah, so for the code spaces, I would definitely say jump in on Damo's talks, but I think he's already done them. But Damo knows all things code spaces, so if you have very particular code spaces questions, definitely ask him. But we're now opening up a new thing in code spaces where you'll be able to build like a whole thing just for hackathons. So you'll be able to say, hey, I just want code spaces to be enabled for this hackathon for this weekend for these people. So you'll be able to do that too, which is a really good way if you're, say, doing a workshop or running a hackathon or you're going to university to teach a classroom of people. It's kind of like rocking up with like 50 giant GPU-enabled computers that allow you to do everything. So yeah, code spaces is coming in that sense. But yeah, chat to Damo because he knows all the code spaces. I know a bit about all the code spaces, but he knows all the things about all the code spaces. Any other questions? No? You're all experts now, are you? Everyone knows how to use GitHub and share it with everyone, right? Cool. Sure there's no more questions? Alrighty. Okay, so back to my presentation to finish off. Hopefully, there we go. Oh, we've gone all the way to the end. Well, I'll stand here and give you my presentation again. Why not? Okay, this is, you get the run through now, where we go right to the end. But basically, I'm not even gonna worry about it. I was just gonna put up my last slide where it's just like, come chat to me if you ever like. If there's questions that you had that you maybe don't want to ask in a public forum or you think of them later, go and follow me on all the social medias, Nodeman. You can find me on all of them and ask questions there. I'm going to grab this gist for you all as well. So this has got all the links for all the cool things that I spoke about. I'm just going to plonk it in here and see what Copilot makes of that. But yeah, I'll put that on Twitter as well. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening to my talk. I'm super glad I came all the way back from Copenhagen to see all your lovely faces and talk to you all about GitHub. So thank you.